Welcome back to Respawn TV. It's time for tech news. The Wii U from Nintendo, the console that never caught on.
Well, I don't think I would say it never caught on because, Nintendo is a very big contender in this whole console generation. But, sometimes you have your downfalls and you have to learn from those downfalls in order to make a better console and make better sales and everything else.
The weird thing is, when it comes to Nintendo, and I've seen this over time, I own a Wii U, you see, but it's a win, fail, win, fail. That's how it goes. Every other console is going to be a stinker. You got the Virtual Boy, but then after that, I believe it was the Nintendo 64, and everybody loved that thing. So it got on a high, publicity-wise, than the GameCube. That was one of the lowest consoles ever.
Okay, time out.
Then
GameCube.
The GameCube
was fantastic.
Was underrated.
It
had amazing games on it.
It had amazing games. Madagascar, Mario Kart. Sometimes, those good nights Mario Karting.
Between April and June this year, the Wii U only sold 160,000 units globally. That's not much. But then again, from what I've seen, Nintendo's ready to take that. They can do that. They can handle it.
Well, yeah, they can handle it, but at this point, are they in trouble? Especially with PS4 coming out and the Xbox One coming out. Do you think that they're in trouble for the long run?
Well, the thing is, they didn't have much of a lineup for the Wii U. They're releasing it over the next 2 years, those games, slowly, because they've been told, Nintendo's heard from customers, they want to have more time with their games before another one comes out, which has kind of backfired on them. But the biggest problem here is that it came after the Wii. And after the Wii, it's going to get tons of publicity because that was the highest selling console ever.
This is my opinion on Nintendo. They made the 64 as well as others. And they made such big successes that they never really understood a major flop. But like I said earlier, every console has to have their flops. It's like a hit and miss. You have to take those chances in order to figure out what to do next time to make it better.
And they can definitely handle this.
And they can handle it because Nintendo's been in the game forever.
I looked up the overall income that they've made every year, profit, and this is in comparison to Microsoft and Sony. And Microsoft has gone in the red almost yearly. Sony has gone in the red maybe twice. Since the creation of the NES with Nintendo, they have never been in the red. They, in fact, have more than, I believe, 4 times as much money as both Sony and Microsoft combined. And that's just because, they've had such a great winning record so far.
They hit and miss, but when they hit big to where they take misses, just like you said, and they handle it
That's why they're willing to push it, because they just released the 2DS, which was a lower-cost 3DS that doesn't have 3D capability. And people are getting all upset about this because they're thinking this isn't called for, especially after the Wii U. It really is. They have the money for it, and this is playing towards the kids that are under 6 years old. It comes in a slate form, so they don't snap the thing in two. The 3D hurts young children's eyes, so they went for that.
True.
And it lets you play games for a lower amount of money, plus it's released the same day as the new Pokemon games.
They play it smart, and they sit back and they think about major demographics.
Right.
Whereas Sony and Xbox or Microsoft, they do think about demographics, but they also just pertain to one. Whereas Nintendo, they pertain to all of those different demographics. But switching the conversation to Microsoft, we have to go there. They're actually starting to listen to negative feedback on the Xbox One, which recently had their expo.
You know that your console's going to have a horrible start when they announce the price of this console and the audience is hushed from booing. They were booing and the security hushed them.
I don't know what went on with their mind process or their thought process, especially being that we just want this console. We only use internet to play online with our friends and update. We don't want anything else.
To give an update to anybody that has not seen what's going on right now, the Xbox One has so many restrictions that it's actually frightening off the audience because Microsoft thought they could take these chances. They decided that you couldn't have used games you share with a friend. They decided you had to connect to the internet every 24 hours or you'd lose your games. They can take your games at any point, and the Kinect could actually see you through the camera whenever it wanted to. They had a sign up with the Movie Association of America.
Big Brother.
Yeah, and that was freaking people out. Plus $100 more expensive than the PS4. So people were in uproar. I mean, I'm used to this type of thing, these type of restrictions, because Steam on the PC does basically the same things, except it doesn't spy on me. The only difference is...
Or does it?
Well, the difference though is Xbox is going to release their games for like $60 each. Steam, I could pick up 5 games for $15 on a sale weekend. So I can deal with these problems. But people, they've finally had enough of it.
Well, it's good that they're taking a starting point and listening, because we don't ever want to see any console have no kind of sales, or like 20,000 copies, or not copies, but 20,000 consoles globally, which I doubt will happen. And
what you wonder is, they've improved it for the consumer, but what about for the developer? Even before all these restrictions were removed, indie developers couldn't develop for the Xbox One. I'm not sure if that's changed yet, but that's a huge thing for the Xbox. You got to be able to make indie games. A lot of the games that I've played recently, like Limbo, Braid, I believe was on Xbox 360, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, all indie games that got really popular through that and the PC.
And see, a lot of people don't like the mainstream games, which is also a great point that you bring up with the indie games. You have to allow that. You have to allow people to bring in different genres. It's just like music. You have to allow different types of genres because everyone is different. But good news for consumers is that it is going to get somewhere. It will get somewhere from here.
It's a slow, steady process.
Yes, but it will get somewhere. I think that's the positive point, is that it will get somewhere, whereas most people, they just uproar and it never really gets anywhere. But this time, they are doing something about it. They want to compete. They want to be in the ranks with Nintendo.
You are able to play used games again.
Yes.
The online thing's taken away. As far as I know, the Kinect doesn't have to happen anymore.
Yes.
Like, they'll sell it with or without. People were in uproar about that.
And, it just takes these things, like them releasing it and everything else, it takes that for them to get that, this isn't working. Also, as you know, banning those used games it doesn't seem like a big deal to many people who buy their games new, but what about those retailers like GameStop who takes those used games, and
they would go out of business practically. I don't understand.
Fairly fast, because you can just buy it online and you can have your game there, hand it to you.
I don't know if GameStop's supporting this or not, because I haven't heard a single whisper.
That.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'd stay quiet because they know with all these pre-orders and such, like for the Assassin's Creed 4 stuff, you're getting the new Hidden Blade. They're getting all this crazy stuff. But I'm sure because of those reasons that game developers support them so much, they don't want to speak out about this lest they lose business.
True.
But they're going to lose even more if they don't allow used games.
It's good that Microsoft is getting that feedback and they are hammering out what they need to do to figure out what can we do to make this better? What can we do to continue to compete?
Thing is, at the end of the line here, I understand Xbox One is taking all this stuff back and they're listening to the consumer, but I don't trust them still. I think that if they try this junk, they're going to try it again. It's like somebody coming up behind you with a knife and saying, I'm going to backstab you. And then you turn around real quick and they're like, it wasn't me, it's okay. But then when you turn around again because you think you trust them again, they pull the knife right back out and they're going to stab you again.
Exactly. But maybe they're ahead of their game, though. That's true.
Assumptions.
That's cool.
We can't make these base assumptions out of nothing. We're going to wait for November. And when that happens, we will see if people appreciate it. But as of right now, I don't want to trust that wolf that tried to eat me when my back was turned and I caught it.
Well,
Little Red Riding Hood is me. And as me, I will not be the Little Red Riding Hood that's like the grandma. And if he ate the grandma, she's going to come eat me.
Okay, time out.
I trusted grandma.
Why are you with wolves?
I'm saying Xbox One is a wolf. I, as the consumer, am Little Red Riding Hood. And I noticed the wolf. And the wolf is like, I'm just Granny. I'm having fun baking cookies. But when you turn around again, she's going to come out of that skin and it's going to eat you. It's like a fairy tale, man. It's going to play out like a horribly tragic fairy tale.
Moral of the story, don't trust grandma.
She bakes cookies of demons.
In other words, do not trust grandma. And earlier we was talking about indie gamers being able to develop for these major consoles. Going into that, we actually have a Respawn TV crew member who
Local psychic,
Dick Daly, who is going to talk about the indie gamer. So let's check that out.
Hello everyone, I'm Dick Daly and welcome to the first episode of Indie Gamer. Today I'll be playing an indie game called Fez. The game's available on Xbox Live Arcade and Steam. Let's start playing. Now, before I start playing the game, most of you probably don't know what an indie game is. Well, indie games are independently made video games that are created by individuals or small teams, generally without video game publishers or financial support. That being said, indie games don't get commercialized like other games such as Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Halo, Madden, and the list goes on. So my job here is to show you these amazing games that deserve the same amount of attention as the bigger games get. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, it's time to play Fez. Fez is about a little bro named Gomez who is a two-dimensional creature living in a two-dimensional world. But one day, my man Gomez finds a crazy artifact called the Hexahedron. The Hexahedron gives Gomez a Fez hat that changes his world. No, really though, it literally changes his world. It gives him the power to view his boring 2D world in 3D. The objective of the game is to find 32 cubes that are scattered around Gomez's world. Now I know this sounds simple, but in order to find these cubes, the player must use the 3D powers to acquire them. Oh yeah, and sometimes blow stuff up. As the game goes on, you notice that there's a bunch of black holes, or I guess black squares, that are forming all over the world. Gomez's goal is to collect all the cubes to rebuild the hexahedron and restore his world before it's totally destroyed. Well, that's all I have to say about the game. Now it's time to review it. I had a lot of fun playing this game. The puzzles were challenging but not too challenging, the dialogue was pretty funny, the music was nice and soothing, and I've never played a game like it before. It was very original. The only complaint I do have about Fez is a lack of penalties after dying. Now this makes the game a lot less stressful, but it makes the player seem careless about the obstacles and makes the game less challenging. IGN scored the game with a 9.5 out of 10. IGN's Mitch Dyer said, "Fez is a game in love with games. It has a respect for classic ideals and a confidence in its original ideas." Fez is available on Xbox Live Arcade and Steam for just $10. If you're afraid you won't like it, that's cool. You can just download a free trial and see what you think. You should also check out the documentary called Indie Game. The film follows the creator of Fez, Phil Fish, and all the hard work he put into the game.
That's like my incentive to finish it, is then I get to not kill myself.
Indie Game received a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's definitely worth a watch if you're into video games and documentaries. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Indie Gamer. Once again, I'm Dick Daly, and thanks for watching.